Beautiful autumn night as the Rockies have a two-game set at home to conclude the 20th and Blake portion of the 2013 campaign. And they welcome in the Boston Red Sox. They met Boston earlier this year at Fenway Park, lost 2 there. Look to exact a little bit of revenge against a team with the best record in all of baseball. And we begin tonight with news of Dante Bichette, the Rockies hitting coach and one of their all-time great hitters, announcing a few minutes ago that he will return home to Florida, will not be back next year as the hitting instructor for the Rockies. He enjoyed his time but missed the family too much. We'll have more on that a little bit later on as the ball game develops. Welcome upstairs, everybody, with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Well, one of Dante's pupils this year and a former teammate is Todd Helton, and Todd is finishing very, very strong. His 17-year career with the Rockies, he's kind of going out as he began it with a bang. Extra base hits every night.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that he realized, I'm done. When he announced that he was going to retire. But everything's been good. The left-handers he's crushed. He got right after Corbin, who had struck him out in his first at-bat, got after him again with his base hit. By the way, he drove in his 1,400 RBI, scored his 1,400 run in that game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. But 8 for 24, home run, 5 RBIs for Todd Helton. And you know what? You wouldn't expect for him to finish any other way than to finish strong.
Well, we said a couple weeks ago, he's going to do some things special before the end. He's done it almost on a nightly basis. I'm really looking forward to see what's in store the next couple of nights. And he spoke about finishing strong a couple of days back.
I could either go out on the disabled list or I can go out playing. And, my main goal this year was to make it all the way through the year. And, knock on wood, but we got a couple weeks left here, and, hopefully I make it through the end. And, it's not the perfect ending, obviously. I wish I could be like John Elway and win a Super Bowl or a World Championship and then, hang it up. But, it's not, that's not going to happen. So just go out and with my head held high.
And he ought to hold his head high. There's no question about that. Very few people get to write the fairy tale script, George, about how the career ends, whether it be in this sport or football or basketball or hockey. That's storybook stuff. That's Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me say this. I think Todd's career, obviously, has been a great career. He's going to have the friends that he has, regardless of what he's putting on a baseball uniform or not putting on a baseball uniform. What he is going to miss most is walking up to home plate and trying to beat the guy on the mound. And that's what he likes about this game. I want to make a difference in a game every night that I'm in that baseball game to try to win as many games as I can. And I think that's the one thing people are going to miss about Todd Helton, and they're going to miss him in the locker room doing it.
He's done it every night for 17 years. He's about to do it again this evening against the Red Sox. And we'll give you a little insight as to where Boston is in this final week of the 2013 regular season. great players in the game. Big Poppy, David Ortiz. He always keeps a dugout light. And the Boston Red Sox, what a turnaround. They finished in the cellar in the American League East last year. They've already captured the division. They have the best record in baseball. And these last 5 games, George Frazier, very important because they want to hold off Oakland and get that extra game, if necessary, at Fenway.
No question. They got a 1-game lead right now. That's why they're going to see all of their guys in until that gets settled. But this is a ball club under Bobby Valentine. They didn't play good baseball. Johnny Farrell came back from Toronto and has coached and managed this team to what they want, a championship. 2nd division title in 18 years, and it's the 1st division title since 06. How do they do it? It's interesting, Drew. Their bullpen has 33 saves. The Rockies' bullpen has 33 saves. That team scores a lot of runs and pounds you.
And they grind out at bats. If you don't throw them a strike, they'll pass the baton. Even the big names like Pedroia and Big Poppy will just move on down the line. A formidable task, these final 2 at home. Big crowds and big names. Todd Helton's final 2 at Coors Field. Buckle on up and come on back with us to Coors Field. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your 7 neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By the Courtyard by Marriott, Western Elegance in the cultural heart of the city. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Well, the sentimental thoughts of Todd Helton have to grow larger each time he does this, because he will do it only one more time. Take the field at Coors Field for the beginning of another baseball game. Saying hello to the men in blue. Sellout crowd expected tonight. Sellout crowd tomorrow in Todd Helton's final ball game at Coors Field. Shane Victorino, the Rockies know him well. They participated against Victorino when he was with the Phillies in the regular season and twice in the postseason. He's done a very good job with the Red Sox in his first year in Beantown. He'll be followed in this lineup by John Farrell, with Daniel Nava, Dustin Pedroia bat 3rd, David Ortiz having another extraordinary season. Jared Saltalamacchia will bat 5th, and Stephen Drew, the former Diamondback. Will Middlebrooks, and the 8-hole Jackie Bradley Jr. And the pitcher tonight is John Lackey for Boston. First pitch from Tyler Chatwood missed. Ball 1. That's in there for a strike. Tonight's starters are brought to you by GMC. Visit your Colorado GMC dealer to see why incredible thinking is everywhere.
Well, you see Chatwood's number 7 and 5 has turned the corner. In the last couple of ball games, the fastball command had left him for a little bit. It seemed to be back early with that good hard sinker down and in. 64 strikeouts for Chatwood, an earned run average of 3.36.
That's a fair ball. Arenado circles it. He fires across to help. He has to bend down and field the throw. One out, and that'll bring up Daniel Nava as we take a look at the arsenal of Tyler Chatwood.
Well, you see the usage of the fastball. It's over 70% of the time, but it's the slider, curve, and change that make the fastball good. 92-mile-an-hour fastball on the average.
Another switch hitter, Daniel Nava. Nava hitting much better from this side of the plate, the left side, than the right side. He's at 319 from the left side, 232 from the right side. Boston had yesterday off as well. In fact, there were several Rockies players that watched the Broncos play the Raiders last night across the way at Sports Authority Field. There were a couple of Red Sox players who went over to the game as well, including Shane Victorino. At 93, just missed 2-1. The Rockies lost in Boston in June, 11-4 and 5-3 in that mini 2-game set. You got to throw this guy strikes, George. He has non-base percentage at 381. He walks a ton.
He walks a ton, but when he swings the bat, he's got a little bit of damage he can do with 11 home runs, 63 RBIs, hitting in the 2-hole, hitting 297. Not a ton of speed, no stolen bases, been caught twice.
It's funny you mentioned that. You always think of Boston through the years, George, when you played, before that, when Yaz was a huge star, Jim Rice, Fred Lynn came up. It was all about slugging. They never had teams that really ran. This team will run a little bit, and when they do run, it's an enormously high success rate.
Very high success rate. You're right, though. But and still, they have the guys that are going to try to hit the ball. Yep, got one.
Their big base stealers, Jacoby Ellsbury, and word out of the Boston clubhouse is that Ellsbury, who's been dealing with a fracture in his foot, will play at least a little bit tomorrow. Here's Dustin Pedroia with 1 out and 1 on, having another Pedroia-like season, a notch below 300. He's driven in 83. Pedroia has always swung the bat well against the Rockies, it seems like. He did earlier this year. And at Coors Field, he's 6 for 12. Runner going on the ground deep short. Tulowitzki jump throw. Helton gobbles it up and tags Pedroia. 2 outs. Nava to second on the fielder's choice.
Great play by Tulowitzki. You're going to get over and backhand the baseball, but it's on the receiving end of this. And folks, watch while you can these last couple of days at home. You're not going to see a lot of this. What a great first baseman. The catch and tag. Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo really gives you an idea of the focus, concentration that Todd has.
So with 2 outs, the RBI machine that is Big Papi at the plate. 37-year-old with a 307 average. He's a home run shy of 30, 2 ribbies shy of 100. Weren't they trying to run him off? Some people thought 2 years ago he's done.
He was done. He battled a lot of injuries that year, the wrists, the shoulders, different things. Wasn't going to hit anymore. Gained a little bit of weight. Well, he's dropped weight, refocused, and duck if you're in the infield. I mean, he's really swung the bat well. You know, it's amazing. You look at him at home plate, 4 stolen bases this year.
You know, he told me in the clubhouse, George, that he feels one of his keys to the longevity, and you look at the numbers. I mean, he hit 318 last year. He ended up, after the slow start 2 years ago, hitting 309. His key is he never takes time off now. When the season ends, he said in November he stays in the weight room, he stays working out, and then he really picks it up in December. And this way, he hits spring training not having a battle as you get older to try to get into shape.
Well, the biggest key for guys as they get farther along is their bat speed. You know, the bat speed drops, the hand quickness drops, the hand-eye coordination drops. It hasn't happened for him. And by staying in there and hitting it occasionally at times, obviously you get a pretty good perspective of what you need to do as an older player.
Now it's 3-0 on Ortiz. It's funny you mentioned that, George, because we got into a hand speed conversation, and he said he thinks that everybody always talks about diminished hand speed. He thinks it's the ability to throw the hips that slow down.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, he's a great hitter, obviously, but all the guys I talked to that had gotten farther along in their years, Lou Piniella, other guys that were great hitters through their career, always talk about the hand-eye coordination and the hand speed.
27th intentional walk for Ortiz. That's the most in baseball. The Rockies defense is brought to you by Excel Energy. We bring you the energy you need so you can live the life you want. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. Dickerson, Blackman, Kadire, Arenado, Tulowitzki, LeMahieu, Helton with Jordan Pacheco. A lot of opportunity of late to catch. Willeen Rosario getting better. If he plays again, it will be in the LA series.
And that's going to be hard for him just for the bat side of things. You know, with the Dodgers winning the West, you know, they're going to have 2 or 3 days off. So you're still going to see Kershaw. You're still going to see Greinke. You're going to see guys that stay on pace with what they're doing.
0-1 on Saltalamacchia and 0-2 on Saltalamacchia. Jared, one of the bigger catchers in the game.
Yeah, in American League East got a couple of those. Matt Wieters.
Yeah, Wieters is
huge in Baltimore.
6'5", 240.
They go back to the Carlton Fisk era of catching to get guys that big.
0-2. Boston will finish up in Baltimore at Camden Yards. A semi-shift on him with the runner at second. Tulowitzki's almost straight up the middle. And it's a ground ball right to Troy. He's got to go across the diamond, and he'll get Saltalamacchia. DJ was swung over in the hole. So there was a hit batter and an intentional walk, nothing else across. Rockies on offense when we come back. Rockies lineup for Walt Weiss tonight will feature Charlie Blackman up top, who got a real nice reward earlier today. Actually heard yesterday. National League Player of the Week from last week. Well deserved. He hit 500. Southwest batting order: LeMahieu, Tulowitzki, Kadire leading the National League in hitting at 334. Then Helton will bat fifth tonight. Nolan Arenado, Corey Dickerson seventh, George Pacheco eighth, and Chatwood
Yeah, how about Charlie Blackmon? Another nice award to get that. Well, he only hit 500. I guess he probably should have got something for it, huh?
You hit 500, good things come to you, right?
Extra base hits, home runs, RBIs, everything about it.
5 doubles. At one point, he hit a double in 5 straight games. First pitch from John Lackey misses high.
Yeah, the leadoff spot, too, and the ability to drive in some runs. And what he has been able to do. John Lackey's second half of the season not so good after the first half. 7-6, 3-6, 423 earned run average, but a lack of run support in this second half for John Lackey. According to Johnny Farrell, the manager, things could be a lot better for him.
Yeah, you hear that with all the people you talk to in the Boston organization, that Lackey's 10 and 12. This ball's well hit down the right field line. Stay up, get out, it will. Leadoff home run for the National League Player of the Week, Charlie Blackmon. Good way to start the next week.
He almost stripped at first base. I will give him a hard time about that tomorrow. He was watching the flight of the ball, didn't realize he'd gone 90 feet yet.
Home run number 6 for Blackmon.
How nice is that? And almost becoming a commonplace with Charlie. Fastball down and in. He's taken off in the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Bowl. You'll see that pitch down and in to Charlie. Stayed right on it. A line shot to right field.
The 24th home run allowed by Lackey this year in 183 innings. LeMahieu 1-1. Let's see if we can pick up on the near
Standing there looking at it like, oh, wait a minute, I got to touch on first. I don't blame me, I'd watch it too.
On the ground to Pedroia. He goes to a knee, which you can do on the right side. 1 out. Tonight's starters are brought to you by GMC. Visit your Colorado GMC dealer to see why incredible thinking is everywhere. More on the strike thrower, John Lackey.
And if you look at the record, 10 and 12, you go, okay, our innings are great, and the earned run average is outstanding, but the whip at 1.16. He's only walked 38 guys in 183 innings. He'll feature coming at you with a fastball, more of a mix type guy when he gets out on the hill. He'll give you all 4 mixes. He'll go to the slider more than the curveball here at altitude.
Tulowitzki fires at that first pitch fastball, and you'll see the Rockies aggressive with Lackey because he does not walk people, as George was just describing.
38 in 183 innings. Out on the road, 4-9, 330, 439 earned run average. Quite a difference in Fenway, a typical hitter's park. 6-3, 247 earned run average.
High fly ball to center field. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s out there, and he's got it 2 out. Take a look at the Red Sox defensively. They're brought to you by Excel Energy. Make the choices that fit your life. Excel will provide you the energy to power it. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. Daniel Nava's in left. Bradley Jr. is in center, and Shane Victorino's over in right. Will Middlebrooks, Stephen Drew has had a good year defensively. Dustin Pedroia is in second. David Ortiz playing first tonight. Mike Napoli plays a lot of first. He's not in there tonight. This ball is hit well by Kadire, and it is off the top of the glove of Shane Victorino. And in the second, with, I'm sure that will be scored a double, Michael Kadire.
And he has crushed Lackey in his career. 318, 4 home runs.
And Todd fires a base hit left center field. Here comes Kadire. Throw by Nava. It'll be cut off. 2-0 Colorado. Stay hot, Todd. Help. RBI number 58. He didn't wait long.
How about it, Todd? Why don't at the end of the year you go, just kidding, I think I'll do this all over again. The way you played this last couple of weeks has been unbelievable where you driving in runs.
You want a clever sign? Here's a little bit of advice to you at home. Come up with one tomorrow if you come to the ballpark that says, Todd, pull a Favre.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Well, that flare out into left field, so typical of Todd going to the opposite field. He's hit over 400 against Lackey in his career, and 10 at bats, now 5 for 11 for Todd Helton. By the way, that home run hit by Charlie Blackmon, 24 home runs given up by Lackey now, 20 solo shots.
Because he doesn't walk guys. Nolan Arenado with a 1-1 count. Helton hitting well over 300 on this, his final homestand. Career 330+ hitter against Boston.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and look at what Todd does against teams like Boston, Yankees, St. Louis. You know, the really good teams with really good pitching that win year in and year out. I'm thinking it's pretty high.
Two pretty good first basemen there chatting it up. This ball's in the air, well struck by Arenado, but Bradley will move back and catch the line drive. The Rockies, a quick jump on John Lackey. Charlie Blackmon with a leadoff home run, the 44th time in the history of the franchise that they've begun with a home run. Red Sox on a Tuesday night. Tonight's sideline report brought to you by the Honey Smoked Fish Company, a ready-to-eat energizing superfood you can add to any dish that's healthy and delicious. And let's pay a visit to Mark Stout down the left field line.
Yeah, by the left field foul pole. A little bit more on Charlie Blackmon, NL Player of the Week, the 55th Rocky to win that award. He does get a watch, and I asked him about it. He said, first of all, nobody from MLB called me. He said he just kept reading about it on Twitter. And he said when he does get that watch, he's going to wear it to a wedding at the end of the season. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, and he's going to be like, is the reception at 0500? Because that's what I hit that week. So he's going to have a little fun.
I don't know if the watch will work on military time, but
he'll say it that way.
Yeah, he'll have to do his own conversion. Line drive, all right, Mark. Line drive to left for an out. Stephen Drew to Corey Dickerson, and that'll bring up Will Middlebrooks. Have a big swing third baseman. He's a big, strong guy. Middlebrooks was sent fairly early in the season, George, to Pawtucket for a little refresher.
A little wake-up call. It worked. Come back and playing really good baseball. By the way, you know, Drew and I were talking about Boston wanting to win out here because of the home field advantage, and the reason behind that, 53-28 in their home ballpark, energized by that home crowd. So that's a pretty good reason why you would want to get into that position. to take that over. With Oakland's the other team with a home record of 52-29. They want that same advantage going forward.
And there's a look at the wild card. Cleveland is ahead of Texas by a game. Will Millbrooks is gone. First strikeout tonight for Tyler Chatwood. The Royals on the outside looking in, but they've made great strides this year.
They really have. Yeah. Dayton Moore and Ned Yost both going to be back for another year, as they should be.
Oh yeah, and look, the former Red Sox manager Terry Francona, what a job he's done in Cleveland. It's inside on Jackie Bradley Jr.
This guy will scare you a little bit. 3 home runs, 80 at bats at the big league level. Not a high average. He can run. He does have power. He might not run as fast now if we're hitting it off his toe.
.95 wins for the Red Sox. 7th time in 11 years that they've won at least 95. Only the Yankees have more 95 win seasons since '03. One more with 8.
How about the job Johnny Farrell's done with this ball club? Calming down. Oh, that hurt. That's on right above the ankle bone.
Well,
right in that danger area. My goodness, that is really going to hurt. Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo really gives you a good look at all that stuff that you've watched throughout the year on our slow motion camera. Do you got feeling in your feet? Well, not really. You got feeling. Does it hurt? Right? You know, that's what always cracked me up about trainers. You get hit, and they come out and they go put their thumb right on the spot where you got hit, and they go, "Does that hurt?" No, it feels great. Can you press harder?
Well, I don't know how he feels, but he's back in the batter's box. Here's the 1-1. You know you're going to get another sinker in.
Yeah, you hope so. That or a slider, something bearing in on the inner half.
You mentioned John Farrell. He knew these guys because he was the pitching coach in Boston, went up to Toronto, and he comes back, and what a contrast. That's redirected to second, and Mayhew throws to Helton, and wow, he picked one out of the dirt. Haven't seen that forever. Good inning again for Chatwood. More on Farrell in a moment.
In the Red Sox, and kind of an interesting day yesterday on an off day. You see the Toyota Tundra. They just gave away that Tundra. That was above left field. There were 5 finalists through the year. They signed up at the Toyota kiosk. And the time lapse from yesterday when they took that Toyota Tundra off of its perch above left field, it was given away to a lucky fan, as there were 5 finalists and they just gave it away. So there you see the happy winner, who's got his new Toyota Tundra from the Rockies, guys.
And everybody's going to know where he got it from, Mark. It's going to have Colorado Rockies on the side of it, Toyota, the whole thing, Coors Field. They'll know right where he got it. Yeah, I always want to thank Toyota for all the sponsorship and help they do here with the Rockies and our telecast. It's great.
Corey Dickerson with the 0-1 count, and that's on the outside corner, and it's 0-2. A little bit more on John Farrell. We were kind of discussing the Boston skipper. John Farrell knew these guys, and he was a guy that, in how he operates, stands in stark contrast to how Bobby Valentine operates. And this is not to be critical of Bobby Valentine. It's just different. Obviously, it did not work. His message didn't resonate with Boston a year ago. Bobby's had a lot of success as a manager. They needed to make a change. They felt it was necessary, and John Farrell has stepped in, along with a lot of new to Boston but veteran players. Shane Victorino, Mike Napoli, that ilk of player. Or recently Jake Peavy.
Well, it's guys that can play. The thing about Johnny is it's not about him. It's about his team and about the city of Boston. And with Bobby, it was about Bobby. I'll say it. It was about Bobby Valentine. Same way it was in Texas, same way it was in New York. It becomes about Bobby Valentine. Is he a good manager? You bet he is. Obviously, he's been to the World Series. He's led the Mets through some things. At Texas, he had winning baseball down in Texas, but he was not a fit in the city of Boston.
Corey Dickerson grounds out, and George Pacheco comes up. Walt Weiss was talking about Jordan late this afternoon, and he said we want to give him a number of opportunities here in the waning days of the season to catch. We feel it's his best defensive position. He does a really good job back there. And he'll be in the mix for the backup job next year. Nothing Rockies. Charlie Blackmon a home run in the bottom of the first, leading off, and after a Michael Kadire double, Todd Helton hit the very next pitch at the left center for a base hit to drive home Cuddy. Who wants tacos? Remember, when the Rockies score more than 7, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. I hope you went yesterday. Unfortunately, it was a loss for the Rockies on Sunday, 13-9. Good pickup by Middlebrooks.
Well, you got to come in on the baseball. It's not hit very hard, but to come in, you want to try to find the happy hop, not this little short hop you had to go to. You know, you got to get there, make the play, and he does. Makes a nice job on this. Middlebrooks does. Throwing a baseball on to first. You know, I want to look it up, but I think Middlebrooks was in the Arizona Fall League the same time that Nolan Arenado was there. He was all part of that Bryce Harper, Trout, Arenado group of people that were there. Very good players.
Yeah, big time prospects. How about this matchup? Tyler Chatwood grew up an Angels fan. He grew up in Orange County. And you know he had to be at the ballpark countless times when John Lackey was on the hill.
Well, I'm sure he was. And then, you know, maybe even been a teammate of his. When did Lackey leave?
Lackey left in 09.
Well, he would not have been there yet when Tyler was #1 draft pick by the Angels.
2-1, good swing. Safe Light Auto Glass, the folks to visit with. If you have auto glass damage, 303-287-5000, safelight.com. And a strikeout of Chatwood, first of the ball game for Lackey. 1-2-3 second, the Rockies leading 2-0.
Crazy dreams, just of everything. Not knowing what I'm going to do, but yeah, I think as it wears on, as it gets a little bit closer to the last game, I think it'll be very emotional for me.
Understandably so. Maybe emotional for all of us. There's been some great signage here in the ballpark since Todd made his official announcement a few days back. And I've never seen him day in and day out, George, more at peace and at ease as we've seen him the last week or so.
Yeah, it's like his 1998 all over again. I mean, just showing up, doing his work, swinging the bat. Got a lot of family and a lot of friends here in town to watch these last few ball games. Former teammate and really close friend Brad Hopp is in town. Came in town yesterday with his family to watch Todd spend the last couple of days at Coors Field.
Two and one on John Lackey. Lackey without a hit this year in interleague play. Boston's been a bear in interleague play. They've been a bear in interleague play for a while. They have the best record in baseball in interleague play going back the last several years. Going back to 03, in fact, they have a .652 winning percentage against the National League. Lackey hits a high fly ball to shallow center. LeMahieu going out. DJ's got it. One guy. Time for the big hit. Presented by Mako, the company that repairs all kinds of hits. Sunday, a 3-hit day for Helton, including a pair of doubles. And that drove in career RBI number 1,400. Also on Sunday, he produced career run number 1,400. Check out your local Mako for collision repairs and auto painting for as low as $399. Visit Mako.com today. One out. Shane Victorino, who grounded to third, is up there again. Dougie handed me an interesting grouping here. Shane Victorino with 1,196 hits, the most hits of any player born in Hawaii. Not going to get a hit here. 2 outs. Mike Lum. Did you overlap with Mike Lum? Mike Lum second. Kurt Suzuki still playing third. Benny Agbayani.
Agbayani, one of my favorite names.
Yeah, he former Met, played briefly with the Rockies, was fourth, and then Len Secado, who was managing the Rocky system this year, fifth on that list. 2 outs. Daniel Nava, who was hit by a 2-2 pitch his first time up.
Well, I want to remind all the fans coming up tomorrow, it said 20,000. Guess what? They've got 35,000 on little Todd bobbleheads. You can touch this one because they got more, and I know you won't break it. That's it. You're done. And this is one we always give Drew a hard time about the bobbleheads. Quick inning for Chatwood, but more importantly tomorrow, 35,000 bobbleheads tomorrow will be given away of Todd Helton. So very excited about that. So make sure you're one of these 35 to get there.
Yeah, still get there early tomorrow. Rockies off to a 2-0 start. Charlie Blackmon starting the bottom of the first inning with a home run, his 6th of the year. And now he's up against John Lackey again, reigning National League Player of the Week.
Now let's see if he comes back on the inside part of the plate and down again. That's what he tried to do earlier with a cutter. Charlie lifted it out of the yard down the right field line. Yeah, it came in, but it was on the hands and tight.
Middlebrooks throws him out. And that'll bring up DJ, who grounded to second. Toyota Talk comes your way in the 5th inning. We answer your questions. Here's how it works. Text Toyota followed by a question to 720-720. Tonight, game number 158. Tomorrow night. And then the Rockies, after their ball game against Boston, will head west to Los Angeles, and they'll conclude the season against the Dodgers Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon.
7:20 train just got in.
Evidently. And again, it's a ground ball to Pedroia. From one second baseman to another. 2 gone. Tulowitzki will come up. He had a high fly ball to center his first time.
Yeah, probably the biggest question I keep getting asked all over town, from Rudy's at the barbershop to Sam's to everywhere else, is what do you think Todd will do in retirement? So he does have 2 young girls. And a beautiful wife. I mean, they're going to be pretty busy raising the children and doing things. Being a dad again, you know, that was one of the things when I retired. It was kind of fun. You fall back in love with a lot of people. You're in love, but you're not around all the time. It's like a 4-month Santa Claus.
Fly ball, deep center field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long. He absolutely smothered that. Tulowitzki's 25th of the year. Now that was a big fly.
Not many shortstops can display the power that Troy Tulowitzki displays at times. 25 home runs, 81 RBIs now for Troy Tulowitzki. It had the sound when it left the bat. The only decision left to make on this flight was how far it was going to fly. Dead center, 25 rows.
Back live, Kadire fires at the first pitch again. Michael has terrific numbers against Lackey. He had the double in the first inning, but coming in, he's hit well over 300 against Lackey, including 4 home runs. So many matchups from their American League days.
Let's look on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Bowl. Troy Tulowitzki making contact on this baseball. Boy, you talk about seeing high heat and exploding on it. 25th home run given up by Lackey, 21 solos.
He gets Kadire on a slider, but the Rockies add another one on. He deserves a swig of Gatorade. It's 3-0 Colorado. Tulowitzki hits one a mile to center field. Inning. It'll be 3, 4, and 5 in the Red Sox lineup. Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz, and Jared Saltalamacchia. Rockies have hit a pair of solo home runs in this game. Charlie Blackmon now joined by Troy Tulowitzki. Todd Helton's driven in the other one after a Kadire double. Fastball fired a little bit beneath the knees of Dustin Pedroia. Ball one. Pedroia hit it on the ground to short his first time. Four-time All-Star. Great player at Arizona State. Generates a good deal of power for a guy that's not very big, about 5'8", maybe.
Well, the swings on time, everybody's got power. And he seems to be on time a lot.
Got fast hands, doesn't he?
Come on, catch it, catch it.
Can't reach it. This guy plays every day. Tonight is 157th start at second base. This is going to be a tough chance. No chance.
Arenado had to make a decision. Do I catch it with the glove and try to make an exchange, or go bare hand and hope it bounces up to me? I mean, that's a decision, and it all has to be made within seconds, and you just can't do it. I mean, if the ball bounces up cleanly right here, see, you think about glove? No. If the ball bounces cleanly, he's got a shot. In other words, it comes back up off of the high hop, but when it hit the grass, it just died.
That's his 187th hit of the year. The only guys with more hits in the American League: Adrian Beltre with 192, Miguel Cabrera 189, Manny Machado 189. Obviously Manny is done for the year, and Mike Trout with 187 going into tonight's game. And this is a chance for two. Nope. So Big Papi hits into the force out. That's 6 unassisted. Tulowitzki on the right side fielded it.
Hoping maybe that you end up getting double play out of the ball. I don't think it was hit hard enough. But Troy with the big swing around us, nobody to flip it to. So he's just got to chase this thing down, make the play on it, and make the attempted tag, which is what he did. But as soon as he got ready to throw the ball, the second base umpire standing right in the middle of him. Rob Drake, there was no chance for him to make any kind of an exchange. Good sinker, outside corner for a strike. Even the count at 1-1.
Well, the double play candidate, Saltalamacchia. This will be Chatwood's final start, potentially. Well, he goes Sunday in LA.
He could with the off day. Just depends on who they want to kind of shuffle around in there. Tomorrow they already shuffled. Roy Oswalt was to start. Now Jolie Chassin will start. Walt getting the looks, trying to get as many wins as he can for those starters.
And see if this is hit hard enough. Tulowitzki quickly to LeMahieu. Not in time.
And there was 4 guys on the infield that thought it was 5.
They're trying to influence Andy Fletcher a little bit, huh?
A lot of influence going on there. Got that many guys trying to run off the field. Another look at it right here. Tulowitzki with the glove and the feed over to LeMahieu. LeMahieu on the throw over. Ooh, pretty close there. Andy Fletcher with the call at first.
2 outs, and Saltalamacchia now at first. Stephen Drew hit a line drive to left, his initial at bat. What's next is brought to you by CenturyLink. Here's the pitching matchup tomorrow. Jake Peavy, who the Rockies know fairly well, especially the veteran players, from his days in San Diego. Again, Jolie Chassin looking for his 15th win of the year. And that will be Chassin's final start of 2013. It's been a terrific season for Jolice. 2-0 right now on Stephen Drew. Three-0. Stephen following his brother's footsteps as a member of the Boston Red Sox. JD played there for quite a bit. Trying to think, Tim bounced around a little bit. Did he ever play with Boston? Tim Drew?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Tim was a pitcher. Ground ball, cut off nicely by DJ and the easy flip. A lot of ground balls, a lot of mishit ground balls. You know Tyler Chatwood's on his game when you see that. 3-0 Rockies.
From here on, I think about you, they'll think about 17. Good luck and be well, my friend.
Appropriate message from Eric Church, who had Album of the Year this year at the Country Music Awards. And Eric Church's big song Springsteen is the walk-up song for Todd Helton, and they're about to play it.
Todd Helton. What do you think about me?
Drove in a run with a base hit his first time up. And he fires at that 90-mile-an-hour fastball out over the plate. Four hits shy, 4 extra base hits shy of 1,000 in his career.
Well, how about this number? 539 career slugging percentage, 36th all time.
His last base hit was number 2,515. He just moved past his former skipper Buddy Bell on the all-time hits list. He's now 94th all-time. 5 for 11 lifetime against John Lackey. 1-2. That's out of play. Said it a few times of late. Just love the fact that Todd, in the waning days of his career, made another change. Opened his stance, lowered his hands, and has been working really well. Trying to get better, even as he says so long. Got him down and in with a slider. But Lackey wins this bout. Nolan Arenado coming up. Fly ball to center field his first time. Arenado leading all major league rookies in number of hits with 126. Two and one count on Arenado.
Behind the count breaking balls. So this is something that you see in the American League quite a bit. We showed you the arsenal early on. There's the numbers for Nolan. Highest average among rookies in the National League. But Lackey will use his fastball about 53% of the time, and then it's mostly sliders after that.
3 straight strikeouts now for Lackey. Corey Dickerson will come up. AT&T trivia question: how many different Rockies players has Todd Helton played with in his career? Well, that's a great question. Well, you start the year with a 25-man roster. Typically, it's more than 40 during the regular season that you end up playing with. 17 years. Just doing this out loud. There's going to be some holdovers every year, right?
So what are you thinking? 480?
I think more. Did he get enough? High drive, deep right field. Dickerson, touchable.
Well, another solo home run given up by John Lackey. Who cares? They still count. They're up on the board, and you like it. 5 for Dickerson now. 17 RBIs for Corey Dickerson. Part of September is finding out what rookies could do and where they fit into your lineup. Corey's fit in just about anywhere you want to put him. Now the power is coming out for Corey Dickerson on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo.
Jordan Pacheco at the plate. 4-0 Colorado. A towering home run.
Very similar type home runs. A lot of distance, a lot of height. People would say Coors Field home run. I know Lackey looked at it like a high fly ball to right. Probably going to be out in Boston too with that short porch and right.
Two and two on Pacheco. Rockies are at 44 and 35 at Coors Field. Three and four on this final 9-game homestand.
You know, I sitting there just thinking to yourself, when guys like Todd or Tulowitzki, Gonzalez, guys that sign big contracts with their ball clubs that played out for 17 years. And even though Todd has had so many injuries with his back, I don't think the general public, when he had down years, realized how bad a back Todd had. Resulted in surgery, resulted in a hip surgery. Come back and perform at age 40 the way he's been able to perform. Your RBIs are down, right? The home runs are down, and you know what? When you turn 40, they're supposed to be. But still a very productive player over the course of that time.
Three-two on Pacheco, ball 4. Tyler Chatwood will get the hit here in the 4th. A rare walk from John Lackey.
MLB TV is celebrating 11 years. Catch the rest of the 2013 season in HD quality when you're not at home. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 300 mobile devices and connected devices. Visit MLB.tv today.
That is a foul ball. And a ground ball to Stephen Drew. Rockies done, but not before they hit another home run. Corey Dickerson this time with his 5th of his young big league career. Fifth inning, a combination of 3 long balls and the Todd Helton hit, have provided the runs, and terrific pitching so far from Tyler Chatwood, and a first pitch curveball, a strike to Will Middlebrooks.
Yeah, 1 hit given up by Chatwood, an infield single. It's been easy go for him. Hope it continues.
Our 5th inning, therefore it is our Toyota Talk inning. We'll get to some of your questions in a moment. 1-1, fastball, 1-2. First question of the night. What was the reasoning behind Dante Bichette not wanting to return next season? Well, rather than us put it in our words, we'll let Dante put it in his words.
I got unfinished business with the kids back home. Mama paid for 251 hotel rooms this year. I got a boy in Charleston, South Carolina. She's flying in here to see me, and then I've got another one traveling around the country that's playing in showcases. 251 hotel rooms, and I'm sitting here having fun in the big league. So I just got business at home, getting too much of a tug to go back home and finish raising the boys.
And that, in a nutshell, is why Dante, as much as he's enjoying being back with the Rockies, is heading back to Florida to help continue to raise Bo and to counsel Dante Jr., who's in the Yankees organization. He'll always be one of the all-timers to play for the Rockies. And he had a real positive effect on the position players this year for the Rockies, particularly some of the young ones.
Well, the other thing about Dante for me is he worked and brought along Nolan and kept a positive attitude going for Nolan. The guy here at first, Baylor, the first base coach for them,
Arnie Baylor.
Arnie Baylor played junior college baseball with Keith Schultz at Lamar.
Oh, really?
He did, yeah. So he's been around Colorado a little bit. Yes, he did. Oh, he's probably dreamed when you were at Lamar, dreamed about the fact I want to go to Coors Field someday. I want to play for the Rockies someday.
Oh, Brandon McCarthy went to Lamar and ended up in the big leagues. Pitcher for the Diamondbacks. 1-2 on Jackie Bradley Jr., and that's fouled off. I think Todd will have a place in the Rockies organization, or maybe with you in the booth. Todd wants nothing to do with being a broadcaster. I can assure you of that. And in terms of the Rockies organization, if and when that happens, it's not going to be immediate. And Todd wants to spend time with family and kind of deprogram a little bit.
Well, very similar to what Dante went through. I mean, Dante thought, and his kids, remember, one was drafted in the first round by the New York Yankees. The other one's 14, 15 years old at this time. That he thought he was ready to come back to the daily grind, and it has been a grind for him because, it's like he said earlier today in that press conference. I've been away from 10 years. Maybe I just didn't want to realize, or maybe I forgot, but getting here at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, going home at midnight, texting, checking my text messages of what kids are doing, what they're doing, need their help, and that's all part of it. I think for Todd, Todd's ready to go be a dad and a husband full time for a while.
Lackey at the plate with one out, and Bradley at first. And I don't think people fully realize, even the most ardent fans of the game of baseball realize the time commitment, not only for players but for coaches. The coaches get here before the players, and in baseball it is not unusual for coaching staff to be at the ballpark 6 hours prior to the ball game. Bradley takes off, and it goes off of Pacheco's glove. So it'll be a stolen base for Bradley. And the Red Sox continue to run with an amazing efficiency, 86+% success rate this year.
Now pick your spots. That's when you can do this. I mean, Pacheco, that ball must have really sank an awful lot because of in a bunting situation with Lackey up at the plate.
How about this, George? I'll tell you after the pitch. 1-1 on Lackey, misses the bunt attempt. A feeble attempt, 1 and 2. That's 37 consecutive stolen bases for the Red Sox without being caught. That's the longest in franchise history for Boston. It's the longest such streak in baseball since '93, when Toronto had 38 in a row. And Lackey's gone. Just finishing before we get to that question. People just don't realize, I mean, because then you're taking video home with you. We get on the plane right after a ball game, and coaches are breaking down video on their iPads already of the next pitcher or the next group of hitters. If you're Jim Wright, Bo McLaughlin, it's a never-ending process for 8 months. All right, how do you think the Red Sox will do in the postseason? That from Denise.
I think at home field advantage, they're going to do really well.
Yeah, they're set up, I think, very, very well for success. I mean, Lackey's throwing the ball better than the numbers indicate. Clay Buchholz, George, who's when healthy this year, has been virtually unbeatable.
Very good rotation that they can turn to. You got Buchholz. You know, Dempster's been moved down to the bullpen, and he's done a great job down there. I mean, when you start to do some different things with this ball club, even though Buchholz 15 starts, he's 11-1, and he's healthy again. John Lester, 15-8, 367 earned run average.
They've had to remake their bullpen a couple times this year. In the air to center field. Blackman's got it. And that's all for Boston in the 5th. Chatwood has pitched wonderful baseball. 4-0 Rockies.
Yep, it's Sports Authority Field at Mile High. We're here, of course, at Coors Field. Last night, big Broncos game, big win over the Raiders. Let's show you some of the Rockies that made it down on the field. Kadire, Arenado, and Tulo. Cargo was there. So was Tyler Chatwood, Dexter Fowler, Vinny Castilla. He made the trip as well. Kadire told me that he had a chance to be on the field for entire Vikings games, but I guess there's a rule now, Drew, that you can't do that. So they were there and enjoyed the game last night. Tomorrow, Peyton Manning's supposed to be here, and I heard Wes Welker will be right behind the dugout as well, guys.
Well, I think great athletes like to watch other great athletes.
Well, I know.
Root on other teams in the same town.
Michael talking about that. I went up for a Vikings game when I was with the Twins and stood on the sidelines. It's pretty exciting to be right next to it and watch it all happen.
1-1 on Blackman, a home run and a ground ball to third. What an impression Charlie's made over the last couple of months. Rockies up 4-0. Boston with 95 wins, George. If they were to win out, they have 5 games left, they'd produce their first 100 victory season since 1946. That one caught me by surprise because of all the success they've had lately. This is high fly ball to Victorino.
That's 2 grains for being out of the ballpark again. Not 1, but 2.
You would have thought that, yeah, of course they've won 100 games. Been World Series champions a couple times in the last decade. They've won a lot of times in the mid to upper 90s in the regular season, but they've not produced 100 wins. Rockies hold on tonight. They'll prevent them from doing that again this year. LeMahieu at the plate takes a strike. Here's another interesting note. Teams to go from last place to first in the following year. It happened with the Giants in '97. It's happened in this division, the Rockies division, most recently with the Diamondbacks in 2011. Should give everybody an understanding it's possible. The Red Sox not only finished last in the AL East a year ago, but George, get at least 3 magazines, preview magazines, in addition to all the internet stuff you do in spring training. I got Lindy's, I got Athlon, I got Sports Illustrated. I still have them. I travel with them. And I happen to look up, with Boston coming to town, where they were predicted to finish. There's a strikeout of LeMahieu. Every one of those magazines picked Boston to finish last again in the AL East. Not third, not fourth, last. All 3 of them. And here's Boston, not only division winners, but they've won it going away.
Well, and look at the people on the field and who they have that have won before and been in World Series, been in championships, and the people they went out and got to be a part of that. And then you go out and get a manager that was part of that all-star, the World Series wins with Terry Francona. So, you know, you put all those things together, people don't take enough account of how much guys want to win. There's reasons certain guys are in the playoffs a lot.
On Tulowitzki. Strike. Troy with his 25th home run, his last time up. He's one shy of Cargo for the team lead. Cargo had played 2 months. He still leads the club in home runs.
Scary what it would have been.
Now ball up the middle, and Stephen Drew will throw out Troy. Rockies go in order in the 5th inning. They have a 4-0 lead on John Lackey and the BOS Sox. Sports is brought to you by the Ford Super Duty. Built stronger, built better, built Ford tough. Ford Super Duty. By Connect for Health Colorado. When health insurance plans compete, there's only one winner, you. By Dodge, visit Dodge.com or your local Dodge dealer today. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at Southwest.com. So far, so good. 1st and 2 against the Boston Red Sox. Final appearance for Todd Helton and the Rockies at Coors Field in 2013. Rockies up 4-0. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout. Todd has knocked in a run already tonight. Tyler Chatwood has pitched a beautiful game. He's allowed just 2 hits. Daniel Nava 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch back in the 1st inning.
Yeah, they've done this a couple of times. Ortiz did it to Chatwood twice, called time late. Sam Holbrook gave it to him. Chatwood had started his back step, which was kind of nice. His arm wasn't coming forward yet. He was able to stop.
Chatwood with a changeup and a beauty. It's 0-2.
Tyler
I'm sorry, George, go ahead.
I was just going to say one of the better starts. He hadn't won a ball game since July 26. That's 5 starts. 0-2, 686 earned run average. 21 innings, 34 hits, 16 earned runs. And that has been very unusual for Chatwood. Good smart move there. Let it get by and let the guy behind you get it.
I was talking to Mike Timlin earlier tonight, George. What a fine big league career, former Red Sox player. He's working on the broadcast next door with Don Orsilio, and he had seen Chatwood on television a couple of times. He said, how's he only have 7 victories? I love his stuff.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, you can have great stuff. They just don't score a lot of runs for him a lot of times either. You know, and then Chatwood's one of these guys that, you know, he's kind of forgotten man because of what De La Rosa and Chacin have done. But he could very easily win 15 to 20 games too. What's Cleveland doing tonight? They're losing 4-3 tonight. Ubaldo Jimenez started that game against the White Sox.
Strike on Dustin Pedroia.
Pittsburgh dry out. Yeah, they're winning 6-1 in Chicago. Of course, they're still trying to win.
Well, everybody's trying to catch the Cardinals, and the Pirates. Congratulations to Clint Hurdle and Pittsburgh. They're headed to the postseason, first time in 2 decades. Chatwood, the terrific athlete, stabs that ground ball, 2 outs. But Pittsburgh has to be on the road the rest of the week. Cincinnati and the Pirates began the day 2 games behind St. Louis.
I said 480. 480. What'd you come up with?
I'm going to say 515. Wow. Most games with Todd. Wait, I misunderstood.
See, I thought it was most teammates with Todd.
I read the question again. Yeah, that was a different.
408 different players.
What'd I say? You
580. I said 480.
You said 515. You said 480. You win.
I win. No, I don't. You went over. See, it's like Price is Right. You go over, you don't get it.
Book is for both of us, huh?
Yeah.
Shift is on for Big Papi. Intentional walk and a ground out. Deep center field, but it's playable for Blackman. And a 1-2-3 6th inning for Tyler Chatwood. He's navigated 6 innings on just 80 pitches. Alexis look back. If you like big flies, you're in the right place. First inning, first batter for the Rockies. Charlie Blackmon, stay warm. Reigning National League Player of the Week, 6th home run. Troy Tulowitzki. Do we ever get a distance on this one? 3 miles to dead center field, his 25th of the year. And Corey Dickerson with a home run, his 5th of the year. And sandwiched in between all of that, a double by Kadire and a base hit by number 17. That's why the Rockies have a 4-0 lead. Kadire hits it on the ground to Middlebrooks, 1 out. And here comes Todd for the 3rd time. He's 1 for 2. Most of the crowd on each at bat has stood and paid homage to Todd's wonderful career. And yes, even those clad in colors of the Red Sox. .1-0 from Lackey. Two and one. One out, nobody on. And Helton out front. And it's 2-2. Todd drives it to right with authority. Another knock for help. Two for 3 tonight. Look what you get your hands on coming up.
Get out of there. I tell you what, folks, this is really neat. Big Time Bats has this. I'm going to tell you, it's $109.95 plus shipping. Measures 35, has images of Todd, 360 degrees all the way around it. You can purchase this by going to 866-280-BATS. Let me say that again real quickly. 866-280-BATS. B-A-T-T-S. It's all right there for you. But you can see all different things on here with Todd. And then the neat part about it over here, it talks about 17th season, 2,505 hits when they obviously printed this bat.
Yeah, they'll have the final totals on there.
2,235 games and a limited edition of 2013. So it's pretty neat that this has gone out, and with Todd Helton on it. It is signed, but not by Todd, obviously. It's copied, but this type of a bat will be really, really neat for someone if they want to get this. So if you'd like to, 866-280-BATS. They're $109.95 plus shipping. Dougie, I gave it to you. It's in your custody. I saw Goodman trying to fold it up and put it in his bag. It didn't fit.
Yeah, wood bat generally don't fold too well. Arenado center field and deep. Bradley going back will get there. Nice break on that. It's perfect training tool for kids looking on. When you tell outfielders when it's hit over your head to run to a spot and then go find the baseball, that's exactly what Jackie Bradley did.
And you need his kind of speed to go do that. Because that ball was smacked by Arenado. Ball's hit. Of course, he's not that deep in the ballpark, but he runs back, looks up, then finds the baseball. He had to run to the distance of where he thought the flight of the ball was and then kind of angle over and make the catch.
Corey Dickerson, he hit the 4th inning home run. As the season winds down, Blackman and Dickerson, a couple of guys near the top of anybody's list who've watched the Rockies this year in terms of young players that have impressed.
That's going to land right in the scout section. Let's see if any of those guys can catch.
Kid Charlie Kerfield, I said it's got to be a big series now. Charlie made his way in.
Charlie's here doing a little free agent coverage for the Philadelphia Phillies. He and Greg Colbert are both here. Another Philly scout that's in town, went to Oral Roberts University from Portland, Oregon. He's normally the advanced scout, but with the Phillies out of it, he's doing a lot of other work. Big crowd of advanced scouts because obviously the Red Sox in town, so you're covering them with all the National League teams are here. All the American League teams and the possibilities of what they have. So you got to have coverage on that. We typically travel 2. One will take the hitting, one will take the pitching, and the manager's tendencies as far as when they bunt, when they hit and run. Will they slug bunt with pitchers? All that's going to be in the book. I just remember the first World Series in '81. They had a book on the Dodgers that was about 6 inches thick. I remember Reggie Jackson standing up and saying, if I read this book on pitchers, the series will be over by the time I get done. He laid it down and walked off.
Rip you look out. Big poppy. This catch by David Ortiz. Helton had a base hit. He's left at first. Rockies have a 4-0 lead off to the 7th. I'm a DH. What am I doing out here? Stop hitting it at me. Tune in Friday after the game for Rockies Real Time. This week we're hitting the road with the Rockies, seeing some of the sights on the Major League landscape. Make sure you join us as some of the players were at SeaWorld. It's Rockies Real Time Friday after the game right here on Root Sports. And normally it says Colorado Rockies on the bases. Now it says 17, Todd Helton. I'm sure it'll be the same tomorrow. And commemorative base on the other side. Rockies, Red Sox. Yeah, really cool.
Great find by the camera crew and director Jim Armentrout. Appreciate that. Want that back to you at home.
Jared Saltalamacchia at the plate. 1 strike count. Chatwood, he'll run the base. Boy, he has been dominant with that sinker.
Well, sinker changeup mix, 92 mile an hour fastball, 82 mile an hour change. Jason Giambi tonight for Cleveland. Here it is.
Giambi with a drive, deep right field. Are you kidding me? Oh my! The Indians have won it. Their 11th walk-off win of the season, and none more dramatic than this one right here, right now.
Well, Giambi's going to love this. You all Rockies fans, you've seen it before. Jason Giambi in September swinging the bat, and he hits a walk-off, and the Indians win 5-4. Wow. 11 ground ball outs in this game for Chatwood, 6 fly ball outs and 2 strikeouts, keeping the ball on the ground, shortening innings up. That's why he's here in the top of the 7th inning with just 84 pitches and 1 out retired.
And another ground ball. DJ's got it. Stephen Drew is out. Tonight's injury report brought to you by Connect for Health Colorado. Dexter re-injured that knee the other night, and you may see him again. You're not going to see him start, and it's highly unlikely. Battled a hand injury also in the middle of the summer. It's a shame because Dexter got off to such a tremendous start in April with 8 home runs, hitting well above 300. Visiting with Dante Bichette, 2 outs in the 7th inning. Middlebrooks 0 for 2, strikeout, ground ball to short.
Dante's son this year, Dante Jr., hit 214, 11 home runs, 63 RBIs for his second stint at Charleston and in low A with the Yankees. I think Dante just feels the need. Don't blame him. Where's Crash at tonight? Where's Crash working? Crash, where are you? Make a play in the third deck, Crash. Holy cow, that's a long ways up there, Crash. Be careful. Tyler thought he had him. Had to walk to the dugout working. Drake Britton, the left-hander, warming up down in the Red Sox bullpen. That is a really long way. Let's take a look at this last pitch. Sinker down and in. You can see why he wanted to walk there. Really received very, very well. By Jordan Pacheco.
Two. This ball's well hit to right field.
Grab a parachute.
And off the glove of Kadire, it'll be 2 bases for Middlebrooks.
You know what? I think Middlebrooks thought he had a home run. This is a high, long drive to right field. Off the end of the bat. He's thinking maybe he might have a home run. Kadire trying to do everything he can just to catch the baseball. Hit on the heel of the glove. You know, you don't want to lose sight of the baseball, so you really kind of lose where you're at times on that warning track. I think Michael thought he was going to be right next to that fence and then come down on it. Middlebrooks his 19th double of the season.
Jackie Bradley Jr. has one of the 3 hits tonight for Boston. Just rolled the ground ball through the right side. That hit, obviously off of Kadire's glove, was well struck. The other 2 hits, Bradley a roller between Helton and LeMahieu. And Dustin Pedroia had an infield hit, a chopper literally off the plate. That's how good Chatwood's been tonight. It's pulled into the seats foul. How about this? Michael Wacha going to the 9th against Washington, who was just eliminated, has a no-hitter going. good hitters do up. Pinch hitter, and then Denard Span has had a terrific run of late. Ryan Zimmerman.
Down at the bottom you can see also where it says they've never been no hit, talking about the Washington Nationals.
Well, that doesn't include the Expos. The Expos were no hit, I'm sure.
But that's not the Washington. What about the Washington Senators? Maybe they were too. Teams in Washington.
You know, it's interesting. I hope this storyline continues with a 2-2 count, 2 outs on Jackie Bradley. Talking about how John Lackey hasn't had much run support. The Red Sox have been shut out 12 times this year. 6 of the times is when Lackey started. They're being shut out so far here in the 7th. Tonight it's 3-2 on Bradley.
Part of the mature process too for Chatwood. He's been able to run through some of this. That ball sinks down low into the zone. It's out of the zone. And I can see why that wouldn't have been called. But you're in a 3-2 count now, and they're getting ready to go to their bench. Pretty good at bat by this kid too. Hey, just a quick one for you right now from Drew. This is your neck of the woods here. Miles Simpson, 9 years old, sent me this hat up just a minute ago. Last hat of the season, maybe not. Might get another one next couple days. Moffat County Cutthroats Triple Crown Baseball in Craig, Colorado. Miles, thanks. Appreciate it. I will wear it this winter.
Not all that far from Steamboat. Beautiful part of the state. It remains 3-2 on Jackie Bradley Jr. Decent chance Jacoby Ellsbury will be in there tomorrow, at least for a little bit. On the ground, Helton with the play to Chatwood. Oh, it's dropped by Chatwood. Throw home, wild. And it went in the dugout, so Bradley Jr. is going to move all the way to third. Todd made a sensational play, and Tyler Chatwood just dropped the feed. He's got to be sick.
You know he's sick right now. Todd, with that back issue, you can see there just kind of grimace. He's not going to show a whole lot of discomfort right now. But the play he just made, folks, incredible. Look at him, kind of little hop, get his feet squared up, be able to dive, catch the baseball, get to his knees, and then make the throw to Chatwood, and it just came out of the glove. Tyler knows the runner's going to be coming. He fires through the middle of the dugout. Back wall comes out. Bradley moves to second, and you're in a 4-1 ball game right now. And the Mike Shaw Subaru, another look at it. Hit right square in the glove and just pinched it out the end of the glove.
It's 2 errors on the play. E1 for dropping the ball and an error on Tyler, obviously, for firing over the head of Pacheco and allowing Bradley to go all the way to third.
Now Walt went out to check him to see how he was and maybe get after it and say, let's get this last out and get after it right now. They'll go to their bench now. And Lackey's day will be over.
Mike Carp, who's done such a great job off the bench for Boston this year. That's as a pinch hitter. He's a spot starter. He's had a solid year. He's got pop. Ottavino in the Rockies bullpen. Boy, that's a shame. Helton's got a couple hits in the defensive play of the night. Perfect feed. And Chatwood just didn't squeeze it. Now, for all you Little League coaches out there that bum out, stamp your feet when something like that happens to a 9 or 10-year-old, it can happen to the best players in the world also.
And just remember something pretty simple. Mistakes are made, but they're never made on purpose. They're doing it because they're trying to do every play correctly, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. Fastball in underneath the chin on a 1-2 count. Good pitch by Chatwood. Stand him up, getting pretty comfortable, dive into that outside corner where Tyler has been able to get an awful lot of ground ball outs. Good time for a changeup.
That kicks away, and the throw to the play. Got it out at the plate. Pacheco got a kind rebound off the backstop and a backhanded flip to Chatwood. When that kicked away, you didn't think there was any chance in the world that the Rockies would have a play. 4-1. Field. Bradley Jr. comes out of the baseball game. Daniel Nava is in right field now. Rockies up 4-1. Pacheco made that nice feed, little backhand flip will lead things off for the Rockies. 8-9-1 in the 7th inning.
Nice job by Tyler Chatwood. Some handshakes coming from the coaching staff. And 7 innings of baseball, just 3 hits and 1 run. It isn't going to be earned. They'll turn it over to Drake Britton. 17 games this year. It's a 1-1 record, 21 innings.
Pretty good competition for some of the bullpen spots in the postseason for Boston. Keep in mind, they lost Hanrahan, Joel Hanrahan, who was closing games for him at the start of the year, Andrew Miller, Andrew Bailey. All those guys were late inning guys and closer types, all gone. And Koji Iwahara has done an unbelievable job now in the 9th inning for Boston. But they've remade everything.
Yeah, they kind of on the fly there, having to fix things to go forward. Juan Nieves is their pitching coach. Of course, John Farrell, longtime pitching coach, helped guide you along that way pretty easy.
Josh Rutledge is in the on-deck circle. We thank you again for texting in during Toyota Talk. As always, visit the Root Sports Facebook page at facebook.com/RootSportsRN, where Tracy Ringlesby will answer another question before the end of the evening. 3-1 on Pacheco. And Jordan with a base hit down the left field line. Chance for two. It'll be an easy double for Pacheco.
A good way to go back and get that one back for Tyler Chatwood. A high fastball. Chatwood made him pay. 91 miles an hour, fairly straight and true in the middle of the plate. And up, you're going to get hurt. That's exactly what happened. With a base hit to left, Johnny Farrell's going to go to the bullpen and get the right-hander. Workman, the big right-hander, has been warming up down in their bullpen, and Johnny, after one at bat, said, "I've seen enough," even with left-handed coming right behind it, Charlie Blackman.
Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Honey Smoked Fish Company, a ready-to-eat energizing superfood. You can add any dish that's healthy and delicious. By Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Brandon Workman, a big right-hander, has come into the ball game for the Boston Red Sox. I mean, big. Goes hard. Spent a couple of spots this year. AA, AAA, that came onto the big leagues in June, back in again in July, and then up for good in August. His 6 wins, tied for the most by a rookie in the American League. 40 and 2/3 innings. He got one whole earned run average of 4.43. He will get Josh Rutledge. He's a pinch hitter. Pacheco after the double on second base.
Colorado. Chad Bettis up and throwing in the Rockies pen.
And you hope those results much better today when he comes in and faces the Red Sox than the other day in his last outing against Arizona. Too many fastballs in the middle of the plate, and they made him pay for it. Coors Field, available for year-round. Special events in most areas of the ballpark can be reserved. Call 303 Rockies for information.
Two balls and a strike. Charlie Blackman on deck. Auto glass damage, call Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000. Online at safelite.com. Ground ball, right side, on through, base hit. And Stu Cole hold Pacheco at third base. First and third, nobody out for Blackman. Rockies trying to add on, up by 3.
Rutledge's continued success as a pinch hitter this year, now 4 for 11 with a home run.
It's not just Rutledge. Lately, it seems like everybody Walt Weiss has called upon has had a degree of success pinch hitting. Charlie earlier this year pinch hit home run. Charlie since August 30th hitting .383. The only guy in the National League that's hit higher, excuse me, in all of baseball that's hit higher is Michael Kadire, who's hitting .409 since August the 30th. Take a look at our Subway in-game box. Blackman a solo home run. Tulowitzki a solo home run. Kadire a double. Hilton's got 2 hits, including a ribby. Dickerson a solo home run. (2-0) on Blackman.
Well, you want to make your mark with your bullpen. You don't come in and walk guys. You don't fall behind on guys. You have to elevate your pitches. You're 89 to 91 with a heavy sinker. Workman trying to accomplish that right now, but he's behind Charlie.
And now the bases are loaded for LeMahieu.
There's nobody warming up down in their bullpen yet. Nobody's taking the glove off to do anything.
We were discussing how to play their middle infield with nobody out. They're going to play their middle infield to turn it up the middle. Even at the corners. Corners will come home. LeMahieu 2 ground balls to second and a strikeout. DJ scuffling a little bit here the last week or so.
And the Rockies 295 with the bases loaded. DJ just 1 for 6 in those opportunities.
7 for his last 35 at the plate. Got locked up on the curveball, but it missed. It's 2-0. Watch the knees buckle a little bit.
Thinking fastball on a 2-0 count. The velocity convinced him not to go after it.
Former Rocky Franklin Morales at Boston bullpen for a while now. With their September call-ups, they have a slew of left-handed relievers.
5.
That's a slew. Back up the middle, base hit LeMahieu. 1 run is scored. Here comes Rutledge. He'll score. 2-run single, DJ LeMahieu. 6-1 Rockies.
28 RBIs for DJ. And a lot of times when you fight a slump, you start to pull the ball and try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. DJ, the way to get out of that is think right back up the middle. And he does it right over the head of Workman, dead into center field. 2 runs come around to score.
Pacheco and Rutledge after Rutledge base hit. Just expand the lead. They gave up one in the top of the seventh. They gained two back so far. Still nobody out in the bottom of the seventh. 6-1.
Tulowitzki at the plate. Home run back in the third. 1 for 3. Ball 1. Troy averaging an RBI every 5.3 at bats this year, which is 4th best in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt leads with an RBI every 4.7 at bats, and he's way out in front in total RBIs in the National League. Oh, huge jump, and double steal pulled off. Blackman and the trail runner LeMahieu, and Charlie almost reached third before the baseball reached the plate.
18 stolen bases for DJ, 7 for Charlie. He's yet to be caught. The youngster had so much focus on trying to get a hitter out that no chance for Saltalamacchia to even have a play on him.
And now the infield comes in for Boston. Second and third, still nobody out in the bottom half of inning number 7. And a 2-0 pitch upcoming. Tulowitzki on the ground to third. 1 out. And here comes the leading hitter in the National League, Michael Kadire. Chris Johnson tonight did not play. Matt Carpenter's been hot with the Cardinals. He's still involved in the race. Cuddy a double back in the first inning, scored on a Helt base hit, strikeout, and a ground ball to third followed. And this is going to drop. It's going to drive in 2 more for Kadire. Make it 8-1 Colorado. RBIs 83 and 84 for the club leader in that department as well.
Right off the end of the bat, and enough strength in the bat speed to drive this ball into right field. Kadire just as steady as anybody in baseball right now. 2 runs driven in and a base hit for Michael. And that's going to be it for Workman. He doesn't retire, but one man, Troy Tulowitzki, and he gives up 3 runs.
Well, the 2 former Twins who briefly crossed paths visiting at first base. Frankie Morales when we come back to face Todd. Open, they're up 8-1 in the 7th inning. Kadire just drove in 2. Second hit of the night for Michael. Todd Helton coming up. He's 2 for 3. And he's going to face a former teammate from the World Series team of 2007 when the Rockies fell to these Boston Red Sox.
Franklin, good fastball. He's 2 of 2 on the year, and earned run average of 484. A couple of stints on the DL. Back healthy again.
Frankie's only played with 2 teams, the Rockies and the Red Sox.
Oh, go ahead and have a night, Todd. Hit one out. Couple of base hits, an RBI.
Still with a big arm, maybe not quite as big as it was when he came up, but first fastball at 93. Two and up. Coming out of your shoes? How about coming out of your helmet?
Yeah, maybe you heard us talking about go ahead and have a good night and hit a home run, but he put a swing on this thing. Very rarely see Todd's helmet come off either.
Two and two. With a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Two outs, and Nolan Arenado will take his turn. Nolan, the only position player in the lineup without a hit. 0 for 3, though he drove the ball to deep center field his last time up. Jackie Bradley Jr. made a nice catch. 2 in the first for the Rockies. A run in the third, a run in the fourth, and now 4 here in the 7th. The only run for Boston, an unearned run against Tyler Chatwood, who pitched 7 sensational innings. A long string of mishit ground balls against the sinker of Chatwood tonight. Well, fans, you got your wish. The Rockies have eclipsed the 7-run mark. Make sure you go to your participating Taco Bell locations tomorrow. Do it between 4 and 6 for your Rockies taco special. Also, Taco Bell and Root Sports will donate $250 to the Colorado I Have a Dream Foundation.
Good fastball, 94, and a check swing by Arenado.
Change up.
Frankie always been one of those guys, inconsistent landing and finish at times can give inconsistent result. The fastball has always been there. 90-94. Nolan chased earlier. It'd be 3-0 right now. A lot of movement on his fastball to go along with the velocity.
Ball 4. Michael Wacha, by the way, who would have told you, did not throw a no-hitter. In the 9th inning, he gave up an infield hit. How many outs were there, Doug? There were 2 outs in the 9th inning. Wow. An infield hit. Here's Wacha, crowd standing at Bush. Over the mound. Their hand was picked up. Tag. Whoa.
And Zimmerman beats it.
Somebody needs to let the guy know it's a no-hitter. Just call him out.
Matt Adams, it looked like he applied the tag. He didn't argue, though.
No argument out of the dugout in Mathena either.
Ground ball to second. And maybe they replayed it in the truck, and he definitely missed him. That's why there's no argument. He missed a tag. Tough way to lose a no-no. Yeah, good call. 8-1 Rockies.
Has a pair. He's raised his average to 335, up a point from where they started at play today. Now, you might say that he's a little bit of an older guy at age 34. There have been 4 players, 34 and older, to win a batting title with the average below 330. You'll recognize some of the names: Ted Williams, George Brett, Luke Appling, Pete Runnels, 2 of them Red Sox playing tonight. Ted did it when he was 40, and I'll never forget, guys, towards the beginning of the year, I was talking to Michael Goodire, and he thought that the Rockies would have a good season because a lot of the players, like Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki, even Jordan Pacheco, who's coming down to get behind the plate, right around 27, 28. And I said to him, well, what about you? And he's like, I'm 34. He'll be 34 and 188 days old as of October the 1st. Hopefully he can win that batting title.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Deservedly so.
And you know what? Every night he goes out there and he gets 2 hits, 3 hits on Sunday.
Chad Bettis has come in to pitch for the Rockies. His first 4 outings as a reliever, outstanding. 4 innings, 3 hits. The last, not so good. Talked about it, 4 innings, or a third of an inning, 4 hits and 5 runs. And it's accounted, or excuse me, 0-2 now. Ruby De La Rosa warming up down in the bullpen for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Ruby De La Rosa, part of that big deal a little more than a year ago that between the Red Sox and Dodgers. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mike Carp, he was at the plate when the ball on the wild pitch that bounced off the screen, and a great feed from Pacheco to Chatwood to get the runner trying to score. There's a strikeout. Pacheco will go to help. 1 gone.
Now, Bettis an awful lot like Chatwood. Hard fastball, 92 to 96, split finger, change up, and a slider curveball mix. More slider than anything else.
Yeah. Out of the pen, we've seen him 98 quite a bit. His first fastball tonight was at 97.
Roxibus is coming. Did you hear me, Drew? Roxibus is coming. Come to the game on Wednesday, September 25th for the festivities. Go to therockies.com/20th for details. Roxibus. How's that? What'd I call it? I don't know.
Well,
You didn't want to call it.
You were good. You were perfect.
You didn't like that one, huh?
One strike on Victorino.
We better get in early if you want one of those 35,000.
That's a base hit too. Why was Victorino hitting righty there, George?
He's hit righty the whole game. Hit righty every at bat so far.
275. It's hit 309 this year from the left side.
Hit right-handed every time in this game so far.
One out, and Daniel Nava at the plate. 0 for 2, and hit by a pitch.
Josh Outman up warming in the Rockies bullpen. 7-run lead for Chad Bettis here in the 8th.
And they turn 2 on this. There's one. Nope. Dropped. On the transition, though. So the out recorded at second. 6-4. Fielder's choice. Nava at first with 2 outs.
A hard line drive hit right at Tulowitzki, so he backed up trying to get enough of a good hop so he could get a pretty good feed on the baseball and still field it. He got a great feed over to DJ, but when DJ popped it out, didn't stay in the ball glove or in his hands, I should say. Yeah, it hit right in the palm and it went out to the top. DJ went to get it, wasn't there. Mike Shaw, Subaru Super Mode, bringing you those shots.
I'll tell you what, that could have been interpreted the other way also. Fortunately, it was not. Good feed for Tulowitzki. And that's all for the Red Sox. Good inning for Chad Bettis. 8-1 Rockies. Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stott. College football fans, don't miss Big Sky football on Root Sports this Thursday night. Tune in at 8 p.m. as the Portland State Vikings will host the Cal Poly Mustangs. The best of Big Sky football right here on Root Sports. Ruby De La Rosa is now in the ball game for Boston. 10th appearance for the Red Sox this year. Hard throwing former Dodger.
Yeah, an ERA, the whip's up, everything's kind of up a little bit. What the Boston Red Sox do a lot. They will really stock up their AAA team with guys that have time in the big leagues. They'll pay them pretty good money. Anybody gets hurt, they try to interchange. Bring them straight up to the big leagues. De La Rosa, one of those guys that can really bring it. Pacheco will get the first taste of it. Breslow and Thornton, two left-handers, getting a little work with the off day yesterday.
And Breslow's their best lefty.
You never want to go
right.
When you're working out of the bullpen, folks, you never want to go 2-3 days at a time without seeing a catcher. And just throwing in a bullpen with a crowd up above you. Not before the game, with the crowd up above you. This will be a little easier for Poppy than the line drive he had to catch off the bat of Corey Dickerson.
Doug, how many has Poppy been at first base now? He's got 1,985 career games for Poppy and 262 in the field. He honestly, you look at the numbers, George, he ought to be a Hall of Famer, and he ought to be one of those guys that goes in as a DH. I know Edgar Martinez name comes up as a former DH.
Pretty good one there.
Great one.
Don Baylor.
Don Baylor.
I mean, Baylor predominantly was a DH. How many games did he actually play in the field somewhere? Because he had a bad arm, Don Baylor. I know one time they put him in Yankee Stadium to right field, and he was going to start the game in right, and he didn't have a glove. They had to go find a glove. They said, well, don't go to Mercer's office because he ain't got one.
Brian Wheeler pinch hitting.
Now, we're talking all about those advanced scouts a minute ago here at the park advancing the Boston Red Sox. One of the best advanced stories I ever heard was from Larry Corrigan, who worked at the time for the Twins. He now works for Jerry DiPoto and the Angels. And Larry is very meticulous with how much he writes down on cards and what he does and everything. He gets through with his hour spill to the Twins coaching staff and Ron Gardenhire. He goes, TK, better known as Tom Kelly, what do you got? Well, boys, just don't let Jeter beat you. Got up and walked out of the room. That's my scouting report. I'm glad Larry covered everything, but just don't let Jeter beat you. Baylor almost 2,300 games, 970 in the field. A little more than I thought it was. 1,322.
Ball four.
Yeah, Altman's warming up down in the Rockies bullpen. Probably going to come on and pitch it. Hey, if you're ever dreaming to become a Colorado Rocky, sign up for the fantasy camp now, taking place at Salt River Fields. And Talking Stick, February the 5th through the 9th. Spend the extra week. Watch the first week of spring training. It all starts on February the 5th, featuring coaches like Mike Lansing, George Frazier. That'd be me, right?
That would be
Mike
you.
Lansing, favorite. And Drew Goodman is not a coach, but he's a player. It's an experience you won't forget. 303-312-CAMP for details, and I will be nice to you.
No, you won't. That's a lie.
I'm nice.
No, you're nice until you got to find them.
Still
Blackman
nice.
with yet another hit. Second the night, third time he's been on base. Trying to go back to back. Player of the week, 2 straight weeks.
Why not? When was the last time that happened in Rockyville? Picked that one right off the ground. Now, Charlie, just everything's in tune right now. It's all on time. Fun to watch.
He's had at least 2 hits in 11 of the last 14 games. Rockies, as a club, have out-hit the Red Sox 11-4 tonight. Talked about this on several occasions of late. The Rockies against the National League West have done pretty well. They've done real well against the NL Central, which is a surprise because the NL Central has 3 playoff teams in it. East, they struggled against. But the real Achilles heels just hit the deep short. Drew stumbles, long throw, and he just did get LeMahieu. But it's been against the American League. The Rockies came in against the American League this year with a record of 4-14.
Not good. They'll do better.
Tulowitzki. They drew the AL East this year. 3-11 against the East. 0-3 against Toronto. They were 0-2 against Boston coming in. Lost 2 of 3 to the Yankees. Lost 2 of 3 to Tampa. Lost 2 of 3 to Baltimore.
Back-to-back player of the week for Tulo, September 6th through the 12th, 13th through the 19th, 2010. Remember that month when he raked?
Oh, yeah.
How could I forget it?
We tied Babe Ruth. He drove in 40 with 15 home runs that September. 0-1. This is smoke. Go right at Middlebrooks. Rockies will leave 2 in scoring position. We'll go to the 9th inning. Rockies 8 and the Red Sox 1. Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. More than 32,000 in the house tonight at Coors Field. They've witnessed a fine performance on the hill by Tyler Chatwood and with the bats by a number of Rockies. 3 long balls tonight as the Rockies lead Boston in the 9th, 8-1. To center field we go. Jenny Cavnar. Jenny.
Hey, Drew, I know these games are all about Todd Helton, but coming up on the Toyota postgame show, we also got to talk a little Michael Kadire. You cannot stop cutting with his 2 hits tonight. He's now hitting .424 for the month of September. And oh yeah, he's still leading the National League in a batting title race. We'll also talk a little resume builder. That's exactly what Tyler Chatwood has done this year. Kind of solidified his spot in the rotation. That includes a 7-inning performance tonight where he gave up just 3 hits and 1 earned run. Of course, we'll also get you inside the clubhouse. It's all coming up right after baseball on the Toyota postgame show. Drew?
Jenny, you will have no shortage of topics in that postgame show.
Very true.
Well, Michael Kadire got a pat on the helmet from an elder statesman in the game. Michael's an elder statesman himself. David Ortiz, former teammate with Minnesota. Todd Helton's had a special evening once again. Big Poppy, in fact, will lead things off here in the 9th inning against Josh Outman. For Josh, it'll be his 60th appearance of the year. He's been very good, particularly against left-handers. Lefties hitting in the low 200s this year against Outman. Actually 193 now after his recent work. Rockies have kept Poppy quiet tonight. An intentional walk in the first and then a couple of ground ball actually to short and a fly ball to center field. Shift is on. Outside ball 1 at 93.
That's a good thing for Chatwood. Hope you hold on to this 7-run lead. You better. Pick up his 8th win. Not only that, his first win since July 26. Seems like a long time. Happy with a base hit up the middle off Josh Outman. Now you start to get the right-hander himself, the LaMacchia, and then you're going to have a pinch runner. Drew in the on-deck circle is a left-handed hitter.
Honest to goodness, I looked out there real quick and I thought it said BB on the back of the pole. The 6 from.
I'm going to get you some glasses for Christmas.
I thought the bat boy was going to run for Big Poppy. Is that allowed? Folks were booing David Ortiz. I don't know why. 0-1 on Saltalamacchia.
A lot of Red Sox fans have come out here to Denver. Quite a few staying at the hotel where Tracy Ringsby and I stayed.
High fly ball deep right center field, and Saltalamacchia's hit it out. 8-3.
14th for Saltalamacchia. 61 RBIs now. A base hit by Holt, or excuse me, Ortiz, followed by this home run.
Also has an 8-game hitting streak in his final at bat. He was 0 for prior to that.
Again, you're not thinking this ball is going to get out of the ballpark. You think it's a deep fly ball into right center. And it chases Bo McLaughlin off the mound down in the bullpen. Manny Corpus scoring down there. Jim Wright checking to make sure he was ready. And left on left now with Stephen Drew.
That's happened a little too much for, I'm sure, Jim Wright, Bo McLaughlin, and Walt Weiss's liking lately, where the Rockies have had a significant lead in the 9th inning. And they've had to get another guy up.
Red Sox fans getting fired up again a little bit. And the Rockies fans kind of counterbalancing things, trying to. Outman this year is 60th appearance for him, covered 53 2/3 inning, just the 3rd home run given up. So that's pretty good numbers for Jock. This doesn't look like it's going his way right now until he struck out Drew on 3 pitches. And Walt wanted to know if he was ready. He is. He's going to go to the bullpen right now. Going to get Manny Corpus in here to face Middlebrooks.
Pitcher spot due next. And lefties, or excuse me, righties against the lefty out, and then hitting over 300. So Walt would have liked to see, and I'm sure Josh obviously would have liked to see him get the 3 outs, shake hands. 8-3. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Will Middlebrooks is 1 for 3 tonight.
Trying to record these last 2 outs and get out of this thing.
Slider misses, ball 1.
Barry in the on-deck circle warming up. He'll pinch hit.
I got a wild one for you. Give you an idea how good Boston's been. Do you know the last time they lost a game, George, by more than 3 runs?
I'm going to say, just because you're asking it, a while back, it's like maybe May.
No, I mean, think about it. Yeah, I don't care how
I'm just
good you are,
throwing it out
yeah,
there. I'm just throwing it out there. You threw it out. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a trap question. You know?
It
So,
is. August 16th.
a long time ago.
6 weeks between. I mean, it's baseball. You're going to have nights where things don't go well. You get blown out. Not lost a game by more than 3 runs since August 16th. That's amazing. "33 games ago." 1-2 on Middlebrooks, who will strike out. There, 2-2. And there's the strikeout, 2 outs. Second time Middlebrooks has struck out this evening.
That's a good pitch by Manny. Outside corner with some heavy sink to it. Perfect position. You can see it on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo. Man, just take that ball down and away from it.
This will be Quentin Berry pinch hitting.
Came over for the Tiger organization.
And base hit. Mike Carter.
Drew mentioned Carp. It's not like he's pinch hitter deluxe. He's got 9 home runs, 42 RBIs. He's hit .298. Looking to hit number 10 with that swing.
Missed.
Red Sox fans are this loud, Dougie. And it only brings back fond memories as a Yankee going to Fenway and listening to it. And Yankee Stadium when the two clubs got together. That ball well short, advancement of the run.
Berry moves up. Defense of the difference. In the 5th inning, the Angels in Anaheim leading Oakland 3-0. That is significant because Boston started the night a game ahead of Oakland for the best record in the American League, the best record in baseball. And the team with the best record in the American League, just like in the National League, will have home field advantage through the respective championship series. 2-1 outside. It's 3-1.
Slider at 79 under the bat of Carter.
Here's the 3-2. Off Pacheco's mask.
Pacheco
with that hockey-style mask. Down and got it, but ricocheted right off of it. Got it. And that's the ball game. The Rockies dominate the Red Sox tonight. The final score 8-3. Plenty of hitting stars. Michael Kadire threw out a couple of hits. Old number 17, a couple of hits and an RBI. As the Rockies beat Boston for the first time this year in 3 meetings, they'll have another crack at them tomorrow in the home finale of 2013. And what a special night that promises to be. Tonight's Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Delivery. The game is brought to you by Jimmy John's. The work of Tyler Chatwood was splendid this evening. 7 innings, he allowed 1 run. It was unearned. A ton of ground balls tonight. Chatwood was as sharp as we've seen him in a while, and picking up his 8th victory of the year. He allowed just 3 hits. None of them hit particularly hard. 1 walk, that was intentional. A couple of strikeouts. He did hit a batter. If it was the final act of 2013 for Chatwood, it was a brilliant one. Visit JimmyJohns.com to find a location near you. Once again, the final score, the Rockies beat the Red Sox tonight 8-3. We invite you to stick around. Plenty to do on the Toyota postgame show. That'll be next.